All right, we are now in part two of our grayscale lesson. So basically, I went on ahead and drew a still life object and I took a picture of it. So here's my still life object. As you can see in my still life object, it is a coffee cup. And what we notice about a coffee cup is that there is shadows. We have a light source being projecting light onto our coffee mug. So if we can look at our picture right here on my phone, sorry it's not the best picture, but we're gonna have to make do. You can see that our light source is coming from the left side of our mug right here. See how, like, notice how it's kind of dark in the front of the mug, but from behind the mug it is light. So we're going to emulate that lighting effect using value and grayscale, and we're going to do that here right now. So here's my still life object, and what I'm going to do, basically the same thing like when we were drawing our still life objects from last week, where we were learning how to identify shapes in our objects to put our object together. But this time we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to identify the shapes and the shadows and the value of our objects. So we're going to be looking for the darker parts of our objects, but we're going to imagine them as shapes, and we're going to apply what we learned about our grayscale and value. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do this. So I'm observing where my shadows are and where the dark parts in my objects. So now I'm just going to go ahead and just go right to it. So I noticed that on the tip of the cup right here, it's really light. So what I'm going to do is just kind of like map that out. I'm going to map that out just like that. Now this isn't the best still life object I've ever drawn, but we're just using this as an example. Alright, so kind of like that. And then we're going to go ahead and just like add more darker tones to it, and just kind of go just at that. We notice it's going to be darker right here, so maybe we can draw a little bit of a darker tones right here. So we're just basically drawing our shadows, you guys, to make our drawings look more three-dimensional. And then so remember go light. Don't be afraid to use the back end of your pencil to get more of that leverage as far as having finesse. And kind of go, like, you notice how I'm drawing? Kind of go with the grooves and the movements of our object. Like we have like this oval shape right here, so I'm kind of drawing in that oval shape. So we're just going to keep doing this, just kind of give our object a little more. Now this will take some time when you guys are going to be drawing your still life objects here with shadings and value here in the moment. Just be precautious of that. Don't try to rush it. Just try to just kind of like go at it, you know. And then we're going to add a little bit right here, a little light right here. And we're going to just kind of just like follow along where all the dark parts are right here. So that's what I'm going to do now. Ooh, kind of went a little too much. It's okay. We'll just kind of like make do. You may not see it at first right off the bat, but once you start getting the shades in there, it will all start to make sense. And especially with our contour lines right here. Remember what we talked about, contour lines? When you're adding shading next to the contour line, it's going to be really important to try to blend it in, as we're doing right here, just to kind of give it that feel, the three-dimensional feel. Okay, and there's like another shape right here. And remember, you guys, we're not just using 2 tones of gray. We're using all tones of gray. So it's going to be super important that when you're using your gray tones that you're not just doing in one tone. So I'm just going to kind of like, just for the sake of the demonstration, start to kind of like a little more right here, a little lighter right there. It's all about, and it takes a while too. Remember, sometimes when you're looking for the result, it will take longer than what you would imagine. But it's important that we have patience when we're making our artworks, because you know, patience is everything. Alright, it's starting to look more or less a three-dimensional object now compared to what it was before. We're adding value. That's what we're doing. Oh, forgot that little mark right there. Just kind of like, you know, use the little marks as a little mapping point. You'll be really surprised how much that will help you guys out with your artworks. And now we're going to go inside the cup right here. Notice how the cup is really dark inside. But it's not as dark. There's like a little light source right there, so we're going to leave that alone. And I know some of you are really talented already. You guys have already shown me how you guys are capable of doing what we're doing right now. But some of us, we need to catch up a little bit. So that's why we're doing this demonstration. Just to kind of give everyone a chance. Alright. So it's starting to come together now. Alright. So more or less, you guys are starting to see now how we're using value to improve our drawings significantly. From it was before just kind of like a plain old contour drawing. Now we add value, and now it's starting to shape up into more or less like an actual three-dimensional figure, right? We're using Alright, I'm hurrying up here because my camera phone, it could go out, it could stop recording any minute now, so. But anyways, that's where we're at right now. I'm just going to stop right there. So if you kind of look at where we were before with just a contour drawing, now we added value to make our drawings a little more realistically, like it's popping right out of the page, right? Like you can almost grab it. So you guys are going to learn how to draw using value and using our grayscales. And we're also going to be paying attention to the form of our objects. Rather than, if we all remembered the differences between drawing with your mind versus drawing with your eyes, we are actually going to identify the form of our object first before we actually start drawing, putting those shapes together to create our form. Then we're going to use our grayscale to add value to our drawings to make them more realistically. So I hope you guys found this tutorial enlightening, and I look forward to seeing you guys draw some more in class. Peace.